All right, everyone. Welcome to an all-new episode of Georgio Says, the podcast. It is Monday, January 12th. We are obviously here to talk about the latest episode of Real Housewives of Potomac. I also have a little bit of tea from the Potomac reunion that filmed last week. And you may or may not like my take on this episode, but here we go.
We need to talk about this.
All right, my friends, welcome to another episode of Georgio Says, the podcast. We're obviously here to talk about Potomac. But before we do that, I'm going to address something that I have been wanting to address since Saturday, but I have been thinking through it. And I'm just going to come out and say it. I understand that you and I, for the most part, will not agree on every take or opinion or what's happening on the shows. But further to that, I also understand that certain individuals have what I believe are unhealthy cult followings. And the reason why I say that is because on Saturday, and whether you guys saw this or not, I will get into it. But I had seen Sarah from Texas podcast. If you're not familiar with her, she mainly covers Jeff Lewis Live and anything that happens in his world. Now, I particularly am not the biggest fan of Jeff Lewis, but I don't have a beef with him. Meaning, there's nothing specific. Like we don't know each other, and so all of my opinions about him are based off of what I've seen him talk about on his show, how he has treated different people, and just the circle around him constantly changing. So I have my view and opinion on that, but other than that, I do not have a personal beef. I also do not religiously listen to Jeff Lewis Live because he's not my cup of tea. He's very, in my opinion, narcissistic. I feel like he throws everyone under the bus when he's pissed off at them, and he tries to create narratives on his mic, on his show, knowing that the people that he's talking about either cannot legally speak back or respond, or it's him just trying to create the narrative and make himself the victim, which I personally feel he ends up coincidentally always being the victim of every single piece of drama that he shares. I also can separate the fact that there are people that are not quote unquote chumps that do like listening to the show from time to time. They can like him one week, not like him. I get it. But I'm specifically going to speak right now to the chumps specifically. So if you're not a chump, okay, this is not for you. So please don't take it personal, okay? This is for the diehard chumps out there, the ones that feel Jeff Lewis is a constant victim and does nothing wrong ever. I saw a post regarding Gage allegedly sending Shane Douglas, who is Jeff Lewis's executive assistant, something to do with an interaction with, Gage and Jeff's daughter. And I guess this took place at a doctor's office, and Shane either got wind of something that was going on or he saw something. I'm not really sure. The text in and of itself was very clear. It was, Shane, I don't basically like the way you're interacting with my daughter. I don't like the hand holding. I don't like the constant touching and hugging. And I definitely don't feel comfortable with her sitting on your lap. So basically he drew a boundary when it came to Shane and how he interacts with Jeff and Gage's daughter. Now, obviously, if you've been living under a rock, then you missed the whole situation of how the custody and the aftermath of the split between Gage and Jeff has been very, very contentious and very, dare I say, crazy. Crazy is probably a good word. Do I think Gage is innocent? No, I don't. Do I think Jeff is innocent? No, I absolutely don't. but we only get to hear mainly Jeff's side of things. And I don't really think Jeff's going to ever take any real accountability for his role in all of this. But this message really kind of prompted something in me because I saw a little bit of response to Sarah's post about it. And it was just weird to me that there was people, you know, in the comment section being like, that's the most ridiculous thing and the most accusatory, dangerous thing that Gage could say. And, you know, Shane is like an older brother to Monroe, and Shane is like family to Monroe. And, oh, Shane is also the caregiver as well as the executive assistant, which that's news to me, unless Shane also has a background in childcare, which maybe that's lost on me. I didn't know he had experience with children. Now, I'm not saying that a work relationship can't form friendship, and this dynamic being on a radio show and doing all these things, it is a little bit different. So yes, I understand it's not this corporate setting where it's like, you know, Jeff Lewis is the CEO of this Fortune 500 company and Shane's his executive assistant / caregiver to child / whatever else Jeff feels like he wants to dump on him. Nobody should be getting this defensive over my take on it. And I'm going to post my video that I posted on Saturday on this episode because I didn't take the video down. A lot of you guys got really angry with me. The chumps did, because you guys are blasting me because I'm not listening to the show. I wasn't discussing the entirety of this whole custody thing. And I understand everyone wants to do the tit for tat thing when it comes to this situation because you guys are so pro Jeff and up his ass. But you guys are not going to bully me in the DMs. You're not going to come at me and try to like say all these things. But what you guys did do successfully, and I will always applaud any cult following, is you guys banded together in the comment section and you tagged everyone under the sun. Instagram, Meta, Jeff Lewis, Shane Douglas. I mean, you guys wanted that post down. You guys made it your mission to get my post taken down and lie about what community guidelines I violated, which I didn't. I don't do that. I don't just spit random shit out of my mouth. So the fact that I'm still trying to appeal it is wild. But nonetheless, I'm not going to die on the hill of trying to get that video back up because it was out for a good 6 hours and I said what I said. And interestingly enough, the chumps in the comment section didn't understand anything that I actually said, which was there was no accusation formally made. Okay, if there were, I don't believe Gage would have just left it at like, don't do that again. It would have been like, you're not going to be around my child again. That's not what his message said. Now, I understand a lot of you got triggered by the message being written the way that it was because you guys, I guess, live with Jeff and live with Monroe and you see this interaction on a daily basis. So you guys know firsthand that this is just all wrong. He's just, and I'm not saying that Shane did anything with any malintent either, but I said a parent's right to create boundaries should not be questioned at all. If someone's parent says, you're not allowed to go to this person's house anymore because I don't favor the way they live in whatever capacity, whether it's you don't like the way the mom drinks in front of the children or you don't like the way that things are, you know, set up at their house so you don't feel comfortable letting your kid go there, that's your right. I don't understand why Gage all of a sudden has no right to create boundaries when all we have heard when I have listened is how much, you know, Jeff is just piling on the latest thing that Gage has pulled this week, which I'm not saying he's not pulling stunts. I do think it's weird that Gage is coincidentally engaged to Jeff's ex. I do think that's strange, but I've also seen stranger things. So if that's the hill you guys want to die on, fine. Secondly, the Lisa, the nanny situation. She was let go for just cause. Do you guys even know what that means? That can mean anything under the sun. That could mean anything under the sun. Was she dangerous? Did she create a danger around the child? Did she do something irresponsible? Or was it maybe, and this is my speculation, did she just get sick of Jeff's shit and she stuck up for herself? And we all know historically, if you've ever watched Jeff Lewis on his show, Flipping Out, and listened to his radio show, if you speak up against him, you're done. You know, there is no rhyme or reason. So if that is the issue, that's not an issue enough for Gage to disrupt. Maybe Lisa was good for Monroe, and maybe he felt like that was a rash decision. So he was like, not going to leave Lisa hanging. So maybe he hired her. I don't know. But this was what you guys were spitting back at me based on what Gage sent Shane. You guys also sent me death threats. You guys also were calling me every name in the book, which were ridiculous, by the way, because you clearly are so activated and triggered for a man that probably doesn't give two shits about you, let's be honest. And secondly, yes, this is going to be mean, but here we are, because I already said I'm going to be clapping back. I'm going to say what I want to say, and I'm not going to be bullied by you all. You chumps, for the most part, all look like you have the same fucked up haircut and use the same cheap ass box color. And you want to come argue with me because I said respect a parent's boundary. That's it. There was nothing else. I didn't go on, I didn't go on the edge of the cliff and scream all these niceties about Gage. Gage is not paying me, which, funny enough, you guys said Gage doesn't even have a job. So who is he paying? With what money? So I don't work for anyone at all. Definitely not Gage. I don't really care that much. I was speaking more around the fact that I thought it was weird that people were not at least respecting the boundary. A lot of you guys did get it, though. A lot of you guys got where I came from and agreed with me, and you understood because you guys have discernment and you're not dummies. Like that, the people who really follow me, who know me, you get it. It's these randoms that come in and out that catch one take here and one take there that get sensitive and triggered and want to cry about it in the comments. And guys, I'm sorry, but like, I am more than happy with you guys disagreeing with me respectfully. But this was not that. You chumps really are low vibrational. Like, you are the lowest hanging fruit. And it would be so easy. And I was getting there. And then I backed off because you guys were relentless. Lastly, if you think that you will continue to send me disgusting messages like the ones that the chumps were sending me, you better believe that I'm going to do something about it. And I did. I found out where a lot of you guys work and are employed. And I sent these messages to your respective HR departments and bosses, because if you don't know me by now, I can find anyone and find out anything about them. So if you're going to send messages like that, just know that there's going to be something done about it. I was not disrespectful. I didn't call Jeff Lewis a name. I didn't even mention Jeff Lewis in my post. I specifically was talking about this one thing. But you guys got so triggered. So if you're going to cry, you're going to need to go outside. I don't do the crying and the whining. That's where I draw the line. You can disagree with me all the day long. Be respectful. We can see each other. I don't have a problem with that. So let's be crystal clear. It's not about disagreeing with me. Please disagree with me if you do. And a lot of times, sometimes, when enough of you make your points in disagreement with me, I see things a little bit differently. So that is why I'm not someone that deletes comments. I don't take posts down. The posts were taken down because the chumps wanted it down and they won. Now, am I appealing it? Yeah. Is Instagram and everyone taking their sweet ass time? Sure. But I'm not dying on that hill to get it back up. It was up for a good 6 hours. If you saw it, you saw it. You can see it here because I'm clipping it into this episode. So I just want to say, get a grip. If you are that much of a cult follower of someone who does not care about you at the end of the day, who's using you for views and money and clicks, then go for it. Do what you need to do. Then don't follow me. And actually, I made sure to go through all those comments that were saying awful things to me and trying to turn things into something else. I went and blocked all of you guys. I don't need you following me. I don't care. And if you're a chump and you're angry, then don't follow me. Simple as that. I could care less. I don't give a shit. The people that understand and know where I'm coming from, they get it. The ones that don't, they don't. I'm not here to explain it any further. But I did want to address that because chumps, you guys are probably some of the worst when it comes to someone disagreeing with a take that Jeff has or something going on. If it differs at all from the narrative that he's put out, you guys are pulling out your swords and your fire sticks and you're marching down the path towards whoever's home to set it on fire. And it's just trashy, which most of the chumps are. Most of them. Not all of you. Most of you. So I just wanted to address that. Because, yeah, it was annoying and unnecessary, but we're going to move on. I just wanted to put that out there. Take it for what it is. All right. Now, let's jump into Potomac. They did film the reunion for Potomac last week. And if you missed the seating chart, then you missed that Miss Karen Huger got first seat. How the hell did Karen get first seat when she wasn't even filming this season? Well, I personally believe because this season has been such a disaster, and because we're also going to be getting a one-on-one sit-down with Andy and Karen at the end of this season, whenever that is, hopefully not too far away, because it's really like watching paint dry. We saw the shift in the seating chart, and Bravo wanted us to know. They had it set up one way, and then they showed us that they inserted, Karen right at the front. And obviously we had Wendy next to Andy because, hello, that's probably the biggest scandal that has happened. Unfortunately, it happened while the cameras were down, but they did pick cameras back up when all of the news broke around Wendy and Eddie's, alleged insurance fraud. So that made sense. Now, I feel that, Stacy is the only other person that probably took the most heat this season outside of Angel, and I have my opinions about Angel that we are going to get to when I recap this episode. But for the reunion, it seemed, from what my sources told me, the theme was red, so we should be looking for shades of red for this reunion, which, great. We also found out that Wendy was held to the fire. Her feet were held to the fire by Andy. Andy asked all the questions. He really kind of went there with her, which should be expected, I would believe, because everyone has a lot of questions. And Wendy hasn't been able to speak about this, obviously, because of all the legal stuff. So I'm not really sure what we're going to get out of her. Because, again, there's still stuff brewing. So it's not like everything's been buttoned up and she can kind of talk about it. I would imagine she's going to probably be... I wouldn't be surprised if a lawyer was present for the reunion just to ensure that things are not being spoken about that, could tarnish whatever her defense is in all of this. But I did find out none of the men were on the stage, so they didn't film that. Timu was not even at the reunion, so I guess some of the men were there, but they just didn't come out for whatever reason. Maybe they were expected to come out and they just weren't needed anymore because they filled in the gaps with Karen and the Wendy of it all. But yeah, I'm trying to think about what else this person told me went down. The only other thing that I guess was a big thing was the Ashley defending sleeping with Charisse's son. I think she brings up something about how she helped Charisse with some financial stuff because Charisse got herself into some bad business deal of some sort. So I guess we're going to have to hear her, Ashley, kind of justify the weirdness around her sleeping with a coworker's son that she met when he was not of age. Anyways, so I'm just going to take it as Karen and Wendy will be the bulk of the reunion because if you've been watching the season, it's a disaster. It's a disaster. So with that, let's just jump in and recap this latest episode because it was Not good for Angel. It was not good for Angel. The perception, okay? I get that there are things that happen. But this wasn't just about the home, the Airbnb home that she put some of the women up in that didn't have running water, but it was more around her hosting and what her intention around this cast trip really was about, because she set it up in a way that made it seem like this was going to be an opportunity for these women to come on her turf, right? And see how she does business, see her home, see how Colorado is, get to know everyone a little bit more intimately. But then we saw last week, as soon as they got to this Airbnb house, which it's clear they didn't get clearance to film the outside exterior of the home because we didn't get any outside shots. But nonetheless, it feels very last minute. So I'm not sure what happened. Maybe she initially was thinking of bringing the ladies to stay at her home, like that she resides in Colorado, and then something didn't work out. And so they were like, let's get an Airbnb for them, and then I will host them here for like events and dinners and such. Well, first of all, this Airbnb is an hour and a half away from Angel's actual home. So that's already setting things off on the wrong foot, because why is it so far? Is there really no other home that you could have found closer to your actual home, that if like you did host the ladies and they stayed late, it wouldn't be so annoying for them to have to get back in a truck and drive another hour and a half back late at night in the middle of nowhere? Like, that is annoying. Also, cast trips generally are meant for the cast to get a lot of their content. That's why we see them going on trips a lot, because it's the one time you can get all the ladies together. And generally on cast trips, these women don't get downtime. That's the point. They're on all the time. Even when they think they're off, there's cameras in the houses that they'll use if they need to. They're working. But it felt like Angel, this episode, well, she wanted to set the record straight that she was not evicted. And again, guys, I don't believe that for a fact. When it first got brought up on the show, I was one of the first people to call out the blatant dumb lie here, because it just doesn't make sense. Someone of Angel and Bobby's caliber, if you know anything, know that that's not even reasonable. Nobody, at least in this area, is going to get any house that looks $50,000 a month for $1,000. They're just not. They're just not. So I don't believe that for a second. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe, in passing, she was like, well, look, if you can find me a $50,000 home for like $1,000, then we can talk. Like, that could have been taken in so many different ways. It felt like it was set up in a way to make it seem like she was just being like super duper cheap. Like, she was like, I want the top thing for nothing. I want to pay $5 for a $3,000 bag. That's not, I don't believe that. I didn't believe it then, and I certainly don't believe it now. But these women are bored. Giselle, Ashley, they're the co-conspirators of the Angel takedown, because there is no other content. They've wrung Stacy out to dry for most of the season over stuff that doesn't even line up. She hasn't lied about anything that she's really been caught in. Has she misspoken here and there? Yes, but they all do that. Secondly, she never inferred that she didn't know who Chris Samuels was. So bringing Monique in for that part to try to come at Stacy was desperate, in my opinion, because that's the only reason they brought Monique in, is to like try to create conflict for Stacy, because Giselle and Ashley were leading the punch here with this, and it's just landing flat. And unfortunately, Tia's kind of getting dragged into it, but Tia will learn. She'll learn very quickly, or maybe she won't. I don't know. But she'll learn very quickly how things get twisted and turned in a way that if you are this defiant in saying, you lied about something when we can see flashback scenes that's not the case, then it's not gonna bode well for her when she watches it all back, in my opinion. So it really irks my nerves, the amount of time we've spent attacking Stacy over nothing, because Ashley and Giselle have nothing going on. And they won't share their real lives. Like, you're not going to see Giselle talking about the man she's dating or showing her doing something that isn't coming after somebody else on the cast, right? We're not going to see that. So, yes, I do believe that Ashley and Giselle went into the season with some options of how they were going to stir up shit. But after this episode, Angel Babe, you are handing it right to them. You're handing it right to them. First, you have them staying at a separate house. And not only that, you then take two of those girls and take them back to your house, but leave the rest at this Airbnb that has no running water and is an hour and a half away from where you are. So already, bad host. Bad host. Because that's not the way cast trips are supposed to go. If you're hosting a trip, you need to be present at all times. This is your thing. Like, you need to be there the whole way through. This isn't like clocking in and clocking out. So for everyone in my short recap comments that thinks I'm just coming for Angel and not giving her any grace, that's not, I've been giving her grace. I'm the one that stood up and said that and actually she just confirmed this on Watch What Happens Live. I'm the one that came out and told you guys that I found out that she actually closed on a house in Potomac. And she confirmed that last night on Watch What Happens Live. So no, that's incorrect. She's just not meant for this show. Does that take away the fact that Giselle and Ashley and Wendy are being mean girls times 10? No, they are. They're being shitty. But they've always been shitty. And you guys make excuses for them when you feel like it. It just so happens that maybe you like Angel a little bit more and you like how much more based in reality she is. So I see that part of it. But when it comes to the dynamics of filming a show like this, she played her cards all wrong. And it started with this Airbnb. So now you are hosting the ladies, which is very lovely, by the way. Her house is beautiful. Angel's house is gorgeous. Are you kidding? That big ass property, the private road. That's why I'm saying there was no question that she had money or that she was being evicted. Those were stupid things, in my opinion, for them to try to make a thing because they didn't base it on anything real. So the ladies drive an hour and a half after scrounging up whatever drips of water they could get to clean their asses and their armpits to show up at Angel's house, to then be greeted by a bunch of weird dudes sitting in her backyard, not saying hi, not saying anything, just sitting there staring at them like as if like they are like in some weird scary movie or something. It was very weird. And I don't know if it was the edit. Perhaps they did speak and they just cut it like that to make it seem more awkward. Who knows? All I know is Angel leads with material. She tries to validate her existence in this group with money. And the situation where she's introducing these men, the one guy, she had to make sure the women knew he's a financial advisor for people that are like high net worth, like billions, as he's like sucking down his cigar. It's like, this is weird. What does this even matter? Why do we care what this guy does? What, like, these people are not even going to be in the scene. You're hosting the women. And like I said, home is beautiful. The event was done and set up very nicely. So that, again, not shitting on her digs. I'm not shitting on the event. You hosted them as if like you were hosting your coworkers at your house for dinner. And so like after dinner, it's like, okay, wrap it up and go home. That's not how this works. We're filming a reality show. So yes, the women come over, they're going to eat, they're going to try to start shit at the table. But it's like, we got to keep going until we've gotten enough content. You got to maximize every single day on these cast trips. And I think Angel is one of those people that is, in my opinion, using the show as just something to promote this business Wanderlust. That's it. That's all I think she really intended on coming on the show for. And the women can smell it a mile away. And whether you agree with some of their, strategies, it still remains true. She's not doing her part. She's not engaging these women. She has not once tried to get to know them. And this would have been a perfect opportunity for her to do that. But after Giselle gives her, so many whacks on the head for, these whack accommodations with no running water, which, by the way, you all would be pissed off too if you were being hosted somewhere and your host just leaves you there with no running water, but is an hour and a half away. You have low cellular signal. Hopefully they had Wi-Fi, but like no running water? Really? Like that would have been grounds for Angel to be like, okay, I'm going to get on this now. Like I'm not going to like let them just sit there like that, because also this is being filmed. So obviously this is going to make you look bad, Angel. But as they're sitting down and eating this amazing food, by the way, because the food looked like really good, like it made me hungry, like I said, there's only so many times they can whack Angel about this like situation. And it's also very clear that Giselle is already found new accommodation options for her and the girls, because she's going to take the center lead on this, because she knows, like Ashley knows, and you can see it on their faces. Monique kind of said this in one of the interviews about how it works when you set up cast trips and like production being aligned and all these things. This is why I'm feeling like this was a very last minute situation and it was not planned properly, which explains why we didn't get exterior shots from this Airbnb home, because they probably didn't get clearance in time, so they had to do what they could do with it. And that probably also explains why we got that weird far away blurry shot of this random house that's probably not even the house. Nonetheless, it just feels like Angel was like, okay, I'm going to host the women. I'm going to put them in this house because Bobby can't stand them and I can't stand them. I kind of like Tia, so I'll bring her to my house. I'm good with Kay, so she can come with me. But outside of that, I'll see the girls when I see them. I have these activities planned. That should be good enough. Well, it's not. Sorry to tell you, Angel. That's not going to cut it. That is not how you host a cast girls trip, whatever you want to call it. Okay? So the ladies are eating, and now because we can't keep going after Angel because we've beaten that dead horse, we're going to jump back on the Stacy train, and we're going to bring up the Chris Samuels of it all. And now Tia is being like, you lied and said you didn't know who Chris was. Then we get the flashback disproving that, because she never said that. She said, I know Chris socially. I know Chris socially. She never said that she doesn't know Chris. But the reason why this has become such a thing, and this is why Monique is back, is because they're trying to create drama where they can. So they're hoping that Monique will come in and be like, how dare you go to my man? So then they bring up the fact, again, we're going back to this table discussion that Monique discussed with the women about Chris, and how somehow that information got back to Chris. And now it's causing all these issues for Monique. But they're looking at Stacy as being the person that did that, because she knows Chris and she's hung out with him. So obviously it was her. It couldn't have been nobody else, because apparently Stacy was the only one sitting at that table with them. So that's why I feel like this is all being so super duper forced. And it's because they don't have anything else. So then the ladies finish their meals, and I'm thinking, oh, they're going to have a night at this house. Dinner, we're going to go inside, we're going to sit, we're going to talk, we're going to engage. Nope. They all sit around in this like circle where the men were in the beginning, where they weren't speaking to the ladies or whatever, and they're just sitting around. And Monique, because someone in production was like, hey, why don't you come up with a plan and have all the ladies come and do a pajama party so that all the ladies can be in the same space for at least one night. And so Monique's like, hey, let's get a pajama party together for tomorrow. Let's do all the things. Let's make some content for the show, right? And Angel is like, well, Bobby's been with the kids a lot, and so I'll have to talk to him and see if he's good with putting the kids to bed by himself. And, I like the idea, but reading between the lines, she's like, I'm not fucking doing that. I'm not fucking coming to spend the night at that Airbnb that I booked you guys with no running water. I'm not doing it. So I'm going to throw it on my husband, make it seem like I have to go talk to him, when in fact, that's not it, because we got cell phone footage, because she kicked the girls out. It was like 7:30. So they were only there for what, maybe 2 hours? They got all dressed up, sat in the car for the same amount of time they sat at Angel's house, only to then be turned and said, okay, it's time for you guys to go. Dinner's over, party's over. And it's like they're all looking at each other like, this isn't a normal dinner. We're filming a show. But again, Angel's like, oh, I clocked in. I did my part. Check. I'm clocking out now. So, of course, someone there had to film on an iPhone to get a conversation with Angel and her husband, because her husband's just kind of like, doesn't seem like someone that wants to be involved in anything dramatic at all. So the fact that his wife's on a show like this is probably weird for him. So I'll give him that. But I don't believe that he's the reason why Angel isn't doing certain things. I think that's Angel. I think that's all on her, because in the moment when she's telling him about this pajama party idea, yeah, he looks like, oh, okay, well, great. But he's like, do you want to go? And she's like, hell no, I don't want to go. I want to stay here. So I was like, well, then why are you on the show? I don't get it. It's your first season, by the way. So, like, you shouldn't be having all these, like, lines in the sand. Like, this is your trip. Why are you acting like if it wasn't her trip or something, I would, yeah, fine. You're sick of them. You've had enough. You're taking a beat and you're taking a step back. Is that still the best approach? No, but you're not the host. It's fine. It's not the worst. You're the host. It doesn't look good for you. And as mean as Ashley and Giselle are, you're giving them more ammo by behaving in this way, where you're not really showing up and taking care of things, and then more things are going wrong at the house. So, of course, they're going to use it against you. That's what they're going to do, because there's nothing else to go off of. Like I said, content is key on these cast trips. So, I'm not sure or am confirmed that that's exactly what happened, that this was a rushed booking of an Airbnb and, you know, things fell through the cracks. And I'll also say this. I've stayed at Airbnbs before. Things go wrong. Absolutely. I'm not saying this is Angel's fault the water wasn't running. What I'm saying is that Angel should have been there with those girls. So when the water did stop running, she could have handled it and taken charge, as the host should. But instead, they're having to text her. They've got to call. They've got to do these things. And then now Angel's got to call the owner to have him come over and turn the switch back on. So the water starts working. But then right before the ladies leave, the water's not is off again. So like I don't understand. So obviously Giselle is done. She's like, we are totally not staying at that house anymore. I am even thinking that I'm wondering if they even slept there to begin with. Because I'm not buying that they stayed at this house. I'm not. But Angel's not doing herself any favors with this strategy of hers. Okay? But for everyone who thinks I'm coming off really harsh on her, Angel, sorry, not sorry. Like, I've stuck up for Angel where I needed to, where I saw that there was blatant, like, issues that were being just dragged out and over exaggerated simply to cause conflict. But this is not, I can't defend this. This is terrible. The whole season's terrible, but like Angel's not showing up. So to me, it's confusing how she got a full-time spot. If this is all you're going to give, where it's clear you don't like these women, it's clear you really don't want to get to know them. You want to get to know them enough. You want to do just enough to get the platform to then promote this business of yours. And I just think it's the wrong move. So I'm not saying get rid of her. I don't even think Angel will come back on her own. So I know you guys are like, she deserves another season. Maybe she does. I don't know. But does she even want to come back? Because even in her press recently, it's a delayed reaction. It's a delayed reaction with her. And that's because, and this is fine, she's based in a real reality, right? That's not how she would typically be, or that's not the type of people she would be around in real life to have to deal with these types of conflicts. But you're on a show about conflict resolution. So what did you expect was going to happen? I don't know. I'm not saying I don't like her. And first of all, I do like Angel for a lot of reasons. I think she does hit all the boxes when it comes to what a housewife show is looking for. She clearly has the real estate. She clearly has the husband that has a successful background. He's an NFL player, retired. They have a good chunk of change. She has a beautiful home. She just closed on a new home in Potomac this month. So she has all those things, but I don't know if she has the like, it's not clicking for her. And that's okay. That's completely okay. It's not for everyone. But it's not helping that the entirety of the season's also shitty. And then we have a new cast member that is just kind of like seemingly not wanting to be there. It's like she's being forced to film the show. And that's just kind of annoying because you can sense it, or I can at least. What else happened? The ladies make their way back to this house in it's pitch dark. They're in the middle of nowhere, up at the top of this like mountain. And again, these are long drives for just simply going over to have dinner and some cocktails and then having to be shuffled back out because, you know, party's over. Like she's not doing the after party at her house. So then, yeah, it's not working. It's not working. I don't know how many more episodes we have left in the season. I hope there's not too much more because I know we still have the Wendy and Eddie pickup of cameras that we're going to see. And then we also have Karen's one-on-one with Andy that we're supposed to see. So hopefully we get some of that in the next couple weeks because these storylines are non-existent. And it's getting really hard to tune in and watch. One thing I did want to point out in defense of Angel, though, is when Monique was basically saying that because of her situation with Chris, she sees exactly what's happening with Angel, and she feels that it's very much the same situation, that there's stuff going on, and her husband's being difficult probably, and Angel's being defensive because she's trying to keep up this appearance. I personally feel like that's a lot of projection on Monique's part because A, you don't really know Angel all that well to make that assessment, and her husband hasn't really been around all too much. So I don't know where she would have gotten that. There's a lot of things that can make someone get defensive. And if they feel strongly about their partner and they feel like you may be trying to make them look a certain way, that would make that would make me defensive too. I'm going to defend my man if I feel like you're trying to say some stupid shit about him. That doesn't mean that has anything to do with, oh, he's the one that's like pissed off and he's the one being like, you better not do this, this, and this, and those bitches aren't coming. But we don't know any of that. So for her to project that strongly, yeah, if I were Angel, I would be pissed off at that too. Which explains why at the house, when Monique suggested the pajama party and was like, oh, well, he's the dad. He'll figure it out. That's what, blah, blah, blah. Angel put her hand up and was like, like letting her know. Softly checking her, like, don't do that. Don't do what you're about, because she was trying to insinuate stuff by saying that. And I get it. There's nothing happening. So we got to go to where we know there might be some content. And Angel's just an easy target, unfortunately, and has been since the season started. So I guess we'll see how she does at the reunion. But based on my source, I didn't really get any type of recap as to what was discussed around Angel and her non-existent storyline within the group. So, and I believe she's sitting at the very end. So that's also not great. But we'll see what happens. I'm really hoping that we come to an end here with the season soon because I don't know how many more episodes we need. There's nothing happening. So, but I want to know what you guys think about it all. How do you feel about this season? What's going wrong? Does Angel have what it takes to be a housewife and she's just being, land blasted by a bunch of mean girls unnecessarily and we're only getting bits and pieces of her reaction to it? Perhaps. But you guys let me know your take because obviously, like, we all watch the show and we see it through a different lens. So I'm always here to hear what you guys have to say around your take on the Angel situation. I personally think like I've been saying, I just think that this was a job. She treated it like a normal job, and this isn't something you treat like just a normal job. Yes, it is a job, but you have to be present, you have to interact, and you have to engage. And if you don't, then people will start making up stuff for you, and that's what you don't want. So, if anything, I've been maybe a bit strong on Angel, but it's only because I feel like you're literally opening your door and letting these women stampede through it and do whatever they want. And now you've got to play catch up and try to dispel all these things that they're saying, which you could have just nipped it in the bud as it was happening. I don't know. But what I do know is that I think that's where I'm going to leave it for this episode. I think I gave you guys enough of an earful between my, statement on the chumps to this recap. It's Monday. I'm not trying to go in too heavy on you guys, but obviously let me know your thoughts. If you are listening to this on audio, please do me a favor and rate me 5 stars. It does help the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, hit all the buttons and make all the things go so that the right people can see the video. And I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your Monday. And until the next episode, guys, I will talk to you on the next one. Bye.